Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today, as promised from the last video, we have Marvel vs. DC, the top five. Now, when we talk about the top five, this is the top five. We're going to give mine and top five of Mantis' characters we want to see enter the Marvel and DC universes as far as just the movies. Obviously, I know some of these on the list have been in TV shows and there's been some cartoon adaptations. We're really saying in the movies we want to see and actually play a part, not just sitting there kind of oddly, getting or being a statue, right? Actually,
or in a cameo.
Or yeah, something like that where it's a quick in post-credit scene, like actually in the movies, have something to do with the movie and be at least, a pretty significant part of said movie. So, Mantis, we're going to start with, because we're more DC fans, deal with it. You're on a channel called You, Me, and DC. We're going to start with DC. Mantis.
Yep.
Who's your top five that you would like to see?
Okay, and these are you just want me to list all five of them in no particular order? Because I mean, to me, these are any one of these I would be fine with. Like it really, it's not like I want to see one over the other of most of these. So, or we could just start at number one, considering we both have number one is the same. I don't know. It's however you want to do it.
Yeah, let's just start there.
Okay, yeah, number one, Darkseid. I know we're both big fans of Superman, the superhero, as well as the villains in DC in general are better than anything Marvel has, in my opinion. But particularly with Superman, Darkseid has not only been just not represented well at all in movies. Like, hasn't been in a movie. He's been in, if you want to technically call Smoke a character, it's been Smoke in a show. So and this I'm referring to Smallville there.
Yep.
But such a great character that they could totally do something with. And I was discussing with Cal before we started recording about this list, and Darkseid came up, and I said, well, what we haven't really seen is a movie about a bad guy, other than like Joker. Again, we always bring up Joker as like an alternate universe type thing going on here, and Joker worked. But I want to see like a movie in mainstream comic book movies where, so take like Superman, for example. You have Superman. Okay, there's always a superhero and he fights one bad guy or a couple bad guys, right? Like that's the formula. Why can't we have a movie with a bad guy as the main character that fights, a couple of good guys? Like they're the secondary cannon fodder that he's got to just massively destroy, right? Or if you want to take it crazy, he gets beat. Right. Totally two ways you could do it.
See, I like that. And, you had said that before we started recording, and, I've been thinking about this whole time. I like the idea of showing the bad guy winning, because it's such the trope. It's been this always the good guy prevails. This message is now sent out to the world. It's just so much better off for it. Again, we talked about in the last video we recorded with the inconsistencies that it's it's a new time, right? It's not the golden age where it's truth, justice, in the American way. People don't want to hear that anymore. Like, show the darker side. Show a bad guy and fighting against, and obviously not Superman or your big time superheroes, but some of the littler guys, and just showing them getting destroyed, right? And the evil plot winning once in a while. That's because you guys know damn well when you play video games like Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, and stuff like that, you always go dark side. You always do. The light side fucking sucks. You do it. You know why? Because the light side costs you a shit ton of credits. You have to do all these things you don't want to do. It's annoying, and you'd rather just kill them and be done with it. All right? We all want to go dark side every so often, which is ironic.
It's mainly because I'm lazy. It's because I don't want to do all that stuff. I'm going to be honest. I'm just lazy. Like, I just want to kill it and be like you said, like, I just want to kill and be done with it. It's just the cool powers is like the icing on the cake. I but but yeah, like Darkseid again, another character that hasn't been explored. It was teased in the way they did it in Zack Snyder's Justice League was really cool. You got to see Apocalypse, like kind of, you know, basically Apocalypse through the little scenes, the few scenes you got to see him on, right? On the planet. And a couple of the little goons he's got. But man, it would be cool to just have a movie of just straight up bad guy, like, oh, this is how they plot this stuff. Oh, okay. Well, where's the where's the part where he tells the superhero exactly what he's gonna do and make it easy for him to stop? Oh, he doesn't do that in this movie. Oh, that's refreshing. You know, like that's what I want to see.
So what I love with Darkseid is, yeah, I agree. I don't count him the little bit we got in the movie because first off, that universe is over,
Mm,
right? So we're never going to see
yeah,
that come to fruition. But
right.
the animated series with Justice League War was okay. Like I like it, don't get me wrong, but Darkseid was just so robotic. I love him in the original Superman animated Superman movie or TV show and the Justice League show because you really voiced by Michael Ironside, who's just like perfect to voice Darkseid.
Mm-hmm.
But there's at the end of the Superman animated series because it ran for 3 seasons, I think. He
Mm-hmm.
At one point in the series, he tells Superman, he goes, "If you won't be my knight, you will be my pawn."
Still, if you won't be my knight, you will be my pawn.
And he actually brainwashes Superman, captures him, brainwashes him, and he turns him on Earth. Superman literally
Mm-hmm.
goes and destroys and messes up a bunch of stuff before
Oh,
he's
that'd be so good.
finally brought to where he comes out of it. And Darkseid's like, hey, like, and he tells him, like, Superman goes to confront Darkseid. He goes, "I told you if you wouldn't be my knight, you would be my pawn." And he's like, "Well, you're a man of your word."
I told you once, Superman. If you would not be my knight, you would be my pawn.
I see you're a man of your word.
That whole scene, I'm not going to say the rest of it, I could do it word for word right now. I know it. That whole scene is so beautifully done because it's a bad guy who's such a genius level intellect and how he got over on Superman. He's bringing out the worst side of Superman. It was beautifully done. I would love to see something like that. Again, you want to talk about the bad guy? Well, make Superman the bad guy in that movie because he goes and he
Yeah,
attacks Earth, right? He
yeah,
almost kills Supergirl in that.
You wear my shield but stand against me? Then die!
yeah.
It's so wonderful. Love that. Definitely go watch Superman the animated series because you see him kind of throughout, and it introduces Superman to something he's not used to. Just a villain of pure like he kills the guy right in front of Superman just to prove that he could. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so beautiful. I want to see that brought to the big screen. He's number one on my list of top 5. I want to see that.
I agree. I agree. All right, let's move on to number 2 in the DC. I'm going to go with John Stewart out of the Lantern Corps. Again, if you are not familiar with John Stewart, um, basically, he was, I think he was, I want to think he was military, like U.S. military in the comics, and he became, I don't know if he was a backup or he took over the job from Hal Jordan, who was the primary Green Lantern for Earth Sector, or Earth Sector, or whatever it is. Um, and again, I don't count. This is why I didn't say Green Lantern in this spot. Is why I specifically said John Stewart, because there has been a previous movie, Green Lantern, which we will not talk about. Rest in peace, R.I.P. Yep. It is a bad effing movie. It is comically bad. It's, if you watch it as a comedy, or like Mystery Science Theater 3000, it would be good. But unfortunately, it is not.
Yeah, but the thing with the Green Lantern movie stars Ryan Reynolds, even he makes fun of it. It's like a,
He
a
does.
train wreck, right? It's bad, but some reason you can't look away. Like you still like see it,
Right.
even though it's bad, you still can't not look at it. Um,
Yeah.
I like the idea. So John Stewart, and the thing is, so eventually there becomes 3 Green Lanterns. Then you have Guy Gardner as well too that cover Earth's sector because Earth has so many superheroes, it attracts so many villains. So they actually increase the number of lanterns. So he doesn't really take over for him. They just add more Green Lanterns to cover this sector because Earth's sector in the universe here, we're just fucked. We need help.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for
And
me,
another thing. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, go ahead. No, you go.
I was gonna say the only downside of it, for me, and I'll just leave it at this, is they may have the same issues that I believe they had with the original movie that Ryan Reynolds did, and that's the fact that by nature, Green Lantern's powers are kind of comic booky, like they're kind of cartoony. He'll make a big hammer and smash them over the head with it, right? Like these type of cartoony things. It's just the nature of his powers, right? It's just it would be interesting to see how they would do that, if they would change it, improve it, what they would do, because that was kind of a weird thing, right? Like, I don't know if it would fly in a DC movie.
So we're going to get a glimpse of it with James Gunn is directing Lanterns, which is going to be on HBO Max. So we're going to get a glimpse of it, right? And I think that's going to be the runway of like, are people accepting, right? If it's done well, it's a well-written story before we bring them into a movie. Because you're right. Like, you either go 2 ways. You go really dark with it, where he's like making stabbing weapons and he's cutting people up, or you go really light with it, where when he's smashing somebody with a giant hand, it just goes pow. And it's really comic booky. That's really the only 2 ways you can take it. And either people are going to laugh and find that funny, or they're going to be like, "Oh fuck, he just decapitated that dude." It's
right.
The 2 ways you got to go with it. Now, if they do John Stewart, I hope they do. That'd be a great way to do the darker version, because John Stewart is former military. He is more straight and narrow versus Hal Jordan was more goofy, which is why Ryan Reynolds was a decent casting for him. But if it's me, my second choice, I want to see Brainiac. Like, he is so complex of a villain. And I'm sorry, I'm picking nothing but villains on the DC side. It's because they have such great villains, but there's so much you can do with it. I mean, at one point in the comics and cartoon, like, Apocalypse gets invaded by Brainiac, and Darkseid comes to Superman for help. Like, it's insane. Like, he's such a complex villain, and it would be so great. And it could be a slow buildup, right? Like, you're sitting there at the Daily Planet, and all of a sudden they're noticing there's computer viruses, right? And it's just glitchy, and they don't know what's going on. And then it could be a 2-movie buildup. That could happen in like another movie, in like a Superman movie, and then it leads to it's Brainiac kind of slowly, integrating himself.
Sure. I like the idea of Brainiac too, and I just wanted to bring up the TV show Krypton that was on, that I loved. I thought it was awesome, and Brainiac was a enemy there after I think season 2 was introduced, and they kind of messed it up from there. So I like how they did Brainiac on that show. He was taking over worlds, capturing worlds in his ship, like very doomsday, I should have said doomsday, but like very apocalyptic type bad guy. So but alien-y too, right? Like I agree with you. I really like the idea of Brainiac having his own or as a main villain, because you said you'd have to technically be the main character of the movie, but he has to play a big piece, right?
Yeah. Or it could be foreshadowing in another movie with a big villain. Like, even in the Darkseid thing, it could be foreshadowing Brainiac and then lead to his own movie or whatever. There's a lot you could do with it, but he's a damn good, complex, intricate character that I would love to see brought to the big screen. Because they did it in, obviously, the comics, the cartoon. They did it in Smallville, and then they did it in Krypton. I want to see it come to the big screen.
I agree. All right. Number 3 in the DC, I'm going to go with Green Arrow. I know I'll steal your thunder on this one a little bit. To be fair, you had your list done before I did, but I know you're a huge Green Arrow fan. Primarily a big fan of the actor that portrays Green Arrow in the TV show. So, and again, I'm going to go on a limb here and say he would be a perfect cast for that too in the movie. if I had to pick a perfect setup for this, you introduce him in the new universe here with his own show, or not his own show, his own movie, and he would do great in it. I think he'd be fine.
So,
Thoughts?
for anybody who knows Green Arrow, and if you've seen our Green Arrow shorts that we have on YouTube, if you haven't, go check them out. They're funny, and there's more coming. But with Green Arrow, like in the comics when he or in the cartoon when he's in the Justice League, he is older, right? So yeah, he's still kicking ass and everything, but he is older. He's gotten wiser. So Stephen Amell, especially when you look at the last season of Arrow, how he was playing him, it'd be perfect. I would love it. It'd absolutely be fantastic if they had him as the Green Arrow in the DCU now. We're losing DCEU.
Right.
The DCU. I would love that. That would be absolutely phenomenal. Now,
yep, I'm going with you there too.
Probably one of the ones on my list. Now we're going to the heroes I want to see come in, because the first two were villains, but I love those two as villains. One I really like from the cartoon, I want to see Captain Atom come into this universe somehow or another. He is immensely powerful, but he is literally, if you've watched anything and read any of the comics with Captain Atom, he is like Captain America almost in the cartoon. He's really played that way. He's like the Captain America of DC as far as he plays it real straight and narrow. He's following orders. He's this, but he is immensely powerful. So I think the current version's Nathaniel Adam is the current Captain Atom, and basically he was a technician on this company designing this new type of rocket, and he's sent up in it, and it explodes, and the radiation off it causes he's able to reconstitute his body. And the outfit he wears in the original, I think it was red and gold, and now kind of like Iron Man. And now in the new cartoons and stuff, it's more of like a light blue, and like his boots and gloves and stuff are red. It's a suit that he wears to protect people from his radiation. Otherwise, he'd kill everybody. But he is immensely powerful throughout the comics and the cartoon. He's had time manipulation, obviously matter manipulation. He can shoot fucking energy blasts. He can absorb nuclear energy. Like, he is immensely powerful. He can fly. He can do a lot.
Dang.
In the cartoon, Superman still put him down, but he puts up a pretty decent fight against Superman. So I'd love to see him come into this somehow again, especially if you're talking about fighting a Darkseid or a Brainiac. I think he'd be a great asset.
Yeah, be pretty handy on the team there. I mean, I have no familiarity with him at all. So when I was reading your list, I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And I'm sure there are people that are watching like, you idiot. This is who, I mean, and again, whatever. But like, there are characters, believe it or not, that I don't know about. So, those things are gonna happen here, and that's just something I'll have to check out for sure. Especially if they end up trying to go that way. I mean, obviously, hopefully, they're not gonna watch this, but if they do, maybe they're thinking on the same wavelength as you, and decide to put them in the act, or put Captain Atom in a movie and see how it goes.
I will say, to be fair, he's been in the comics since 1960. So it's not like a new, where I try to say some of these things have just come up in the last few years. He's been around since 1960. So
it's always been around the block.
he's put in his dues. He deserves to be in a movie.
Yeah.
So,
well, all right. So, yeah, the next one I'm going to go with for number 4 for me is going to be Deathstroke.
So good.
And Deathstroke, it's like, why not? Why hasn't this happened yet? Like, he's been as kind of little cameos here and there in small parts in shows and movies, but never had a Punisher type movie that I think he deserves, quite honestly. And most people may be familiar with Deathstroke because you kind of can figure him out. He's always got he kind of looks like a Mortal Kombat character, quite honestly.
He really does. He really does.
Yeah, he looks like a Mortal Kombat character, which is cool, But he's Deathstroke is Slade Wilson, ex-U.S. military, or maybe Army. But I know he's ex-military. But it's kind of the Captain America thing where he got the super serum, right? Like he got the quote unquote super soldier formula or whatever. So this is how he has enhanced abilities. But he goes bad boy, like he's a mercenary, right? But he's also, which I didn't know this particularly, but apparently he's the arch enemy of, or his arch nemesis is Dick Grayson, apparently. And yeah, this is where it ties in, right? Like, could tie into a Batman, Nightwing, which foreshadowing is my next person we'll talk about in a minute. Could tie in totally with like a Titans movie, or you know, he's definitely considered. And I don't know, maybe you know of another quote unquote assassin, but like he just speaks like you don't hear him until it's too late, right? You know, ninja / special forces / gadget / like he just, I don't know. It's cool.
So unpopular opinion here. We talked about having a bad guy movie where you focus on. Now, obviously, if you do Darkseid or something, he's killing everybody in this. Whereas if you did a Deathstroke, you bring the violence down, right? Where he's only killing X amount of people, right? So it makes it a little more palatable for that, because maybe he's taking out some bad guys, but they're also, he's not taking them out because they're bad. He's taking them out because it's a mission. So you kind of root for him. So could that be, when we talk about having a bad guy movie, I think of everybody on either of our lists, he's the perfect one for that, right?
You could do a anti-hero movie with Deathstroke. And you could do it a couple of ways. You could do it like they did with the Suicide Squad, where you have bad guys that are doing a good thing for wrong reasons type of thing. I tend to err on the side of, if you're going to kind of go the anti-hero route, where you do it, you start off where he's an elite operative, he's an elite soldier, right? And he's doing a mission with someone, and it's like, oh, something happens. It's a Harvey Dent situation.
Harvey Dent. Right. Can we trust him?
And something snaps. He gets a traumatic brain injury, or his whole family gets murdered, and that's why he turns, right? Like, it's a straight Punisher situation, except he's not punishing the bad guys. He's like, no, everyone's dead. Like, I don't give a shit. I will kill anyone for money. I don't care who it is, type of thing. I'd be cool with either of those.
And I think that's what you'd have to do, right? Start him out as, that way, first off, he has an arc. He has a good story arc, right? You wouldn't just start him out being a bad guy. Like, he was almost like Shooter, the movie, where they're left for dead, and then his buddy gets killed. It would have been very easy for him to go the villain route, like something like that, right? Where they just basically get abandoned, and then now he's against, where you kind of root for him, because you're like, that's kind of bullshit. They just left him to die, and he had to fend for himself. So that's not that'd be a good way to do that, and people not just hate the character.
So, I think it'd be the only way, unless you're going full on bad dude, like you're saying with Darkseid. But for your fourth, who do you have?
So mine is a little interesting here, and the reason why is I chose Power Girl. Now, for those of you who don't know who Power Girl is Kara Zor-El. She is Supergirl from Earth 2. So Power Girl is basically, that was, Earth 2 was, in the comics, was a doomed planet. Power Girl's technically an anti-hero / bad, sometimes depending on how she's written. She's not the Kara Zor-El. She's older as well, so she's basically an aged version. In the cartoon, they do a version where she's on, because eventually she comes to our Earth, the regular Earth, Earth Prime. But they do. She's been genetically modified to be older, and all this. She's pretty well stacked up top, but she's basically, because when you think about Supergirl and they call her Supergirl, there's been a lot of iterations of her story, but she hasn't matured to full adulthood yet. She got trapped, she got suspended animation, whatever, or ship crashed, all this. There's been a lot of different variations throughout the comics and cartoons and even the TV show. Where Smallville did it, she was substantially older already. So Power Girl is the older version, so you get to see her at full power. You get to see her basically on Superman level power, just be hot. So
I like it.
I would kind of
I
like
like
that
it.
because I feel like then you're bringing a little balance to it instead of seeing like in if you ever watch Supergirl the show on CW, you don't need to. But if you do,
You
like
don't.
I don't like the way they do it. But this would be a good way if you want to bring a strong female character in without having to call her "You're a strong female character," because let me fuck, her name is Power Girl. So I'd
Right.
like to see that brought in. I think that could be really good.
I could just see it now on the CW. It would be Power Girl. There'd just be a picture of a vagina or an aborted fetus on her shirt, and she'd fly through the air, smiting all the men. Like
Right?
that's her. That's what she did. Like,
Yeah.
oh god.
Hopefully none of them are
You know,
watching. I don't want to get that. I don't want to get that show started on the CW.
yeah, I know, and we, like I said, we'd watched the Flash and got a glimpse of Kara from the point of view in the Flash. I think an alternate, Earth version of Kara would be cool too. Something different to the storylines and the current iteration of the DC characters would be cool. For my last pick is
She already alluded to.
I did allude to it, and I thought about switching it out, but I went with Nightwing because I feel like Robin doesn't get his due in the movies. Like the only time we've really seen Robin on the screen has been Chris O'Donnell, right? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Chris O'Donnell? Yeah.
Yep.
From Batman Forever and what was the other
Batman
one?
and Robin.
Batman and Robin. Yeah. So like, which I mean, Alicia Silverstone. Yeah, I'm good with that. But it's like, it just didn't. The only thing good about any of those movies was I actually digged the way they made the city look in those movies. I really kind of like that, where it was like huge
Really?
long buildings. Yeah, I like that. Not
The
necessarily the
observatory
neon
was
shit.
the observatory was being held up by a person, like a big
It was
statue
awesome looking.
person. I did not like that. I wanted it to be a
I
real
liked it.
city.
No, see, I like the extravagant, like, I don't even want to call it steampunk, but like it kind of reminded me of like steampunky. I was cool with it. The acting and the storylines in those movies are fucking terrible.
All right, hold on, guys. Let us know down in the comments who you agree with. Did you like the crazy the road, the bridge wrapping around these big statues and the observatory being held up by a statue, or did you like more of the Dark Knight series where it was just a real city?
Look,
And
I didn't say I hated it. I didn't hate it.
the neon glowing, all the crazy stuff,
Oh yeah.
probably just don't comment. just let it go. It's not going to be good.
I wasn't a fan of that. I'm
Just
not
kidding.
saying I didn't like the way a normal city looked. I just thought it was cool. I dig the way they did Gotham in those movies.
Hated it.
Not to say I didn't like the way they did Gotham in the other ones. I liked it. But like we haven't seen Robin / Nightwing. Like we haven't really gotten a good version of that character on film. And I know it's hard to do a sidekick. That's where it becomes difficult, right? This is why I don't think you could do a Robin. It would have to be a Nightwing thing.
Or it could be a Titans. I mean, you haven't watched the Titans
Or Titans,
show.
yeah.
You haven't watched the show,
It
right?
could be a Titans. I've seen 1 or 2 episodes, I think, in season 1. Like not even. I would even have to rewatch them. I couldn't tell you exactly what happened. I know there was lots of cursing and killing in it. So
I think it's good. I like it. Like it's a little slow in the beginning, and it's finding its footing for the first few episodes, but I like it. So
yeah. So I just think there's an opportunity there. I don't necessarily think they should go the Robin route, but the Nightwing route they could totally do. So where'd you come in on your very last Oh, you're
Mine's
not
a
very last,
weird
but you're
one,
fifth and final.
right? Because I was really struggling to figure out, because when I was coming up with my list, I was trying to think of things we've not seen at all that I want to see. And even in the comics, these only appeared a handful of times was the Presence. So obviously
Okay.
it's
Now wait,
DC's.
who's the Presence? What is this?
So the Presence is DC's version of God, like actually the Bible Abrahamic God. So
Okay.
he is the most powerful character in all of DC. Like you've only seen him. So he appeared in the comics one time as a hand. He appeared in the comics one time as an actual regular person, where he was just kind of out there in the streets, where he was trying to see what was going on in the world and all of this. And
Mhm.
in the cartoon, he also appeared as a hand, and then he's appeared as like a shadowed white light kind of figure. You've never really seen him because he has no need to get involved. He doesn't get involved, right? Like there's can the Presence beat this guy? The answer is yes, but he would never fight because he doesn't need to. Now,
So, in what aspect would you have him come in a movie then, if there's no point of him being in the movie to fight anyone?
so let's say you have Darkseid and he gets the anti-life equation, because that's Darkseid's goal, is to get the anti-life equation.
I have turned 100,000 worlds to dust looking for anti-life.
And
Okay.
one of the heroes has to travel to beyond the source wall and go and try to track down the Presence to get help. Like the worlds are coming to an end, the universes are coming to an end, so they track him down and at least get some wisdom. Maybe you don't even see him, he's just a disembodied voice, right? Something like that, just because that way you kind
Gotcha,
of know
yeah.
there's this higher power, this being beyond. Because real quick, cut of that, it's interesting on Marvel has the same thing. It's the one above all. So
Mhm.
Marvel has basically its version of God, again, the Bible God. Like he is the one above all. And in Guardians of the Galaxy, not to bring that up like we did last video, but you remember when Ego, the living planet, he goes, "You're a god." He goes, "Small G."
A celestial like a god?
Small G, son.
Right? It's reference to there is a more powerful God, and that's
Right.
the one above all. But it's interesting that Marvel took it the route of there was a Big Bang, but there's also God. There's the one above all. So they did both, right? So you're appealing to both the science and the religious of, there's a God up there. There was also a Big Bang. DC
Why
didn't do
couldn't
that.
the one above all? Yeah, why couldn't the one above all cause the Big Bang? You know what I mean? Like,
Right? Even in real
why
life.
does it have to be one or the other?
How do you know God didn't cause the Big Bang? He didn't start it. Be like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this. Boom. This was a science experiment. This happened. Boom.
Yeah.
We don't know, but I love Marvel do that. DC hasn't really gone into that. Like, you don't hear as much about the Big Bang, but you've gotten the tidbits of the Presence in there, knowing that there is something more powerful that literally would just blink anybody out of existence.
Right. And this is where you get into really sketchy territory. I don't mean like sketchy as in like weird. I mean you got to be real careful, right? Because this is what makes making a Superman movie difficult. When you have a guy that's so powerful, how do you make a movie and make it interesting? I agree with you. I don't think you could make a whole movie about the Presence and anything like that. It's
You
just,
definitely couldn't.
there's just no way to do that, right? Like it would have to be something or someone that comes in, or maybe it's a guiding person throughout the movie, but you don't know it's the Presence until the end, type of thing.
See, that'd be good. That'd be real good, right?
You could do
he's
that.
spurring the hero on. I'm talking about they're at their breaking point. They're getting ready to either die. They've lost loved ones, through this battle, and there's that figure, right? Somewhere or another, you have the Presence.
There's that revelation,
yeah,
but you don't know it. There's little hints, and then there's like that Sixth Sense moment. Where you're like, "Holy shit, he's dead!" Right? Like you get that smack in the face type of moment in the movie. You could totally do something
that
like
maybe
that.
even the hero doesn't get to see, right? The hero doesn't even know that that's the one above all, or the Presence. If DC, the hero doesn't even know. Yeah, the viewer gets to see. Oh shit, that's a very, very powerful figure, and they don't even have to reference him as the Presence, right? You just would know.
Yeah,
I think that would be cool.
I think that'd be one of the only ways you could do that. Yeah.
All right, we took a little longer on that than I wanted to.
Yeah, guys, that's our. Well, let's do this. Let's just make this video our DC. We can do the Marvel one in a separate video. Guys, let us know what you think about our top 5 picks. Again, mine, I don't know. Cal's may have been in order. Mine were kind of in no particular order. Just the top 5 that I would want to see as an appearance in the movies as a main character or a side character. So
mine were in order. Like that's how, because again, the presence would be very difficult. Power Girl, I think, would be good, but definitely Darkseid, Brainiac, and then Captain. Those are definitely my top 3. So
okay, gotcha. Yeah, mine were not in order, but in any event, let us know what you guys think about that. If you choose, which one would you change? Or how would you
give
do
us
that?
your top 5.
Characters
Like,
would you like
what
to
are
see?
yours?
Yeah,
If they differ from what we have up there. I kind of feel like you all should probably go along with my list. No, I'm just joking. Everybody's allowed their own opinion, but my list is pretty good.
You're allowed your own opinion as long as it matches mine.
Exactly. See, thank you. You now get the understanding of this channel. No, we could. But yes, guys, we do appreciate it. If you've made it to the end here, consider giving the video a like, subscribing. Definitely leave some contents because we want to get that interactivity going, and we appreciate all the comments and subscriptions we've gotten thus far. We've got a lot more reaction content on the way. Again, this was supposed to be where we were going to give the Marvel ones too, but we're already going to be way over on this, and I say this every video we talk about this. We could literally talk about this all day. Like, it's not a thing. You guys do not want an 8-hour video on YouTube of us going over all of this because it would actually be longer. Stay tuned. The next video we'll be releasing after this one will be our Marvel list. We will give Marvel its due because there's a lot to talk about in the Marvel universe as well. So, thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Later.